Bank of America comes out with a warning, and it's based on not older individuals. It's not even based on housing or auto, things that are already in trouble. It's actually based on young Americans. Wait till you hear what they say and what is the actual answer to the problem. There's what we got to figure out. Solutions to the problem. We're going to talk about what Bank of America just warned about. Also, we're going to discuss what Donald Trump just said. He wants someone expelled from Congress. You know, all of a sudden, Congress is so weak, they can't even get a censure on their own side. So, you know, this congressman that we're going to be speaking about absolutely went against Charlie Kirk and actually just kind of defamed him in the last few days. But guess what? Not even the Republicans could censor her because the Republicans can't stay together. We're going to talk about a few congressmen who sided with the Democrats. Again, blows my mind how we have such weak Republicans in leadership, and Trump should be calling them out to be primaried. Also, what about food? You know, we talked about a few weeks ago this guy from the World Economic Forum saying if we can develop some way to allow for people to have a meat allergy, we wouldn't have to worry about all this problem with carbon and climate control, all this stuff, you know, crazy stuff. All of a sudden, in West Virginia, a new tick has been formed, and now it's causing people to have permanent, lifetime meat allergies. Do we not think this is crazy? Which brings in the next conversation of what Bill Gates is doing in India and in Dubai. Already seeing what the World Economic Forum is working on there. Like they worked on the meat allergies, how it's all of a sudden here. Now see this new tech that Bill Gates is working on in Dubai with World Economic Forum. We're going to discuss that. And then lastly, we're going to talk about what Elon Musk said about automated cars. He said just next year, driving will look totally different. What will be different just in a few months? We'll discuss it. A lot more stories today. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. With you commenting, it helps us grow together and helps us have community down in the comments below. So please make sure you are commenting and give us a thumbs up if you like it. Also, remember we had a vlog go out yesterday. Go check out the vlog. You see how we raise these pumpkins and how we have these harvests of sweet potatoes and all this stuff, how we live sustainable. Go check that out because you get to see my children, my wife, and we get to have a good time on the farm. So go check that channel out. Remember, follow me. We just got Facebook and Instagram back. Of course, we're on Twitter. So please make sure you are finding us at Colby Mac, the real Colby Mac, or real Colby Mac on those platforms. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about Trump and the censoring. Now, Trump called for the expelling of Elon over some of the comments she made about Charlie Kirk. I mean, she's been very defamed, and actually, again, she has come out lately and stated that she likes Somalia more than America, that she believes Somalia is better off than America. She believes that America is a failed state. Now, this is the same lady who made $30 million in the last year on stock trades and on business ventures. This is the same lady who literally has everything that she could possibly want to that America has given her, not Somalia. Somalia is broke in a third world country and actually fallen to pieces. If she loves it so much, why don't she go back? But anyways, I digress. Trump calls for her expulsion. So Mike Johnson calls for at least a censuring, which means you're slowing her down. She can't do certain things, and it also is a provocation. It's really stupid, to be honest with you, because all these grandstanding gestures in Congress, I absolutely despise Congress. I absolutely despise Congress and Senate. But anyway, so Mike Johnson was going to get this done. Well, guess what? Even the censoring, you would think the person who spoke about Somalia being better, spoke that Charlie Kirk was not worthy of just anything, also spoke the fact that America is a failed state, also believes that Somalia is her home country and her country that she fights for versus America. You would think that Americans would want to censure that. Wouldn't you think that? Wouldn't you think that we should not even be allowed to have someone in Congress like this? I would think so. Well, look no further than the Republicans to let you down again. Yesterday, Representative Corey Mills, which is supposedly a MAGA supporter, voted against censuring Elon over suggesting Charlie Kirk was to blame for his own tragedy. Also, of the Republicans, Representative Flood, Representative Byrd from Colorado, Representative McClintock, and of course Mills. They held the vote to where it couldn't even be censured. This is where I come back and say this. Honest truth. Honest truth. I know Charlie is gone, but there's still some big players in the space of getting primary for these congressmen. If they say they're quote unquote, MAGA, or they say they're America first, then you can't vote against this. Automatically, you should be kicked out. You should be ostracized, and they should primary your tail in Florida. You're supposedly this wonderful MAGA supporter, Trump supporter, and then you do something like this when Trump is actually calling for worse, and you just let her off. See, this is how Congress works. They all basically cover for each other because they all know they're getting filthy rich off the American people. It should disgust you, and we should primary every one of these people. I don't think anyone should be safe and be an incumbent in Congress, as in the vote. I believe that every person should have to go back and go before their constituents, have an office in their constituency, and not only have an office, spend most of their time here in their home districts. I believe if they did, they would realize how people don't like them that much, and how Washington really destroys these people and destructs them, and it makes them as a us versus them mentality. All these Republican Democrats work together to ultimately fatten their pockets in richness, do the things against American people, and ultimately spit in our face. We've got to start primarying these people, even the ones who claim to be America first. I love the fact that I'm in Mississippi. I'm not even in Texas, but for some reason, John Cornyn's ad runs, I promise you, 45 times a day on YouTube here in Mississippi. And everything about it is conservative. People fighting, the oil field people, farmers telling us how we should vote for John Cornyn and how he has stood for Trump all the way. And that's such a farce thing. He wants to have Trump's endorsement, but ultimately, he's a joke, just like most of these other people. They're jokes. And they actually don't support America First policies or Trump. It's all by mouth only. They are truly rhinos. Pay attention to these stories, because what you're going to realize is you're going to start seeing a lot of these falter. I mean, again, Charlie Kirk, probably the biggest situation and tragedy that will happen in the next, within the last 50 years probably, but within the next however many years too. And you couldn't even have 4 Republicans stand up to censure this lady who spoke against him. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, before we go any further, a word from today's sponsor. If you wonder why scammers are always getting your phone number, why you have so much spam in your inbox, well, this is why. Your data has been compromised, meaning there's data brokers out there, and what they're doing is getting your information and turn around and selling it to maybe some salespeople, but maybe some bad players. The crazy thing is they do it without your consent. They give all your information to all these places, and it makes you vulnerable. And you know what? You actually can call hundreds of companies, thousands of companies, and tell them you don't want your information shared on the World Wide Web. But guess what? It's kind of hard and time consuming. That's why today's sponsor, Aura, is the game changer for you and your safety with your data online. Everything that we do is online now, so the last thing I want to do is try to go and find out who's got my information that shouldn't have it. That's why we recommend Aura. Aura does all the hard part. Aura goes in and they start taking your information automatically off and taking it away from some of the more compromised places, the vulnerable places. I kid you not. My inbox, my phone has been completely cleaned up, and I don't have to worry about all these crazy calls and all these insurance salesmen and all these apps tracking me all the time, because Aura is there to help. Aura also is so much more. Aura is all-in-one digital security. They do 5 things extremely well. They send you alerts if all of a sudden they find your personal information on the dark web, real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking apps, and also if your information has been compromised. 24/7 monitoring. This is the biggest, because I promise you, the people that are probably stealing your information, they're probably not doing it during the day area. What if it's through the night? 24/7 monitoring from Aura. A secure VPN, antivirus and password manager, and so much more. A US-based support available around the clock. So if something goes wrong, you can reach out to them and they're right there to help you. Aura includes $5 million in identity theft insurance. At night when I lock my doors before we go to bed, I don't want to lock just the front and leave the back open. Aura is all in one, so that way it's protecting you all online. if I sleep at night and I physically protect my home, what about making sure that I'm digitally protecting my information? Check with Aura today, aura.com/themacs. Get 14 days free by using that link. You want a peace of mind when you sleep? Aura can give you that. Aura.com/themacs. Check them out. Now I want to move on to this quote. I thought this was good. This was back in 1974. Robert Welch, founder of the John Birch Society, delivered a speech warning a globalist plan to destroy America, which since has proven accurate. I'm going to play you pieces of this, and this is about a 2-minute interlude, but I want to play you this, and I want you to listen to what he says. It's absolutely crazy, and we're absolutely doing exactly what he said 50 years later.
A part of that plan, of course, is to induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty, piece by piece and step by step, to various international organizations,
more
of which
regulations.
the United Nations is the outstanding but far from the only example. Now, here are the aims for the United States. 1, greatly expanded government spending.
Government
For
spending.
every conceivable means of getting rid of ever larger sums of American money as wastefully as possible. 2,
Wasting our
higher
money.
and then much higher taxes.
Taxes.
3, an increasingly unbalanced budget.
Unbalanced
despite
budget.
the higher taxes.
Not once balanced
4,
in the last 30 years.
wild inflation of our currency.
Inflation.
5, government controls of prices, wages, and materials, supposedly to combat inflation. 6,
Do you see what he said? That was amazing. He lists everything that we're dealing with right now, 50 years later. And he even said at the end, he said, not only that, he said, all we've got to do is tell them as the government will tell you that they're going to work on helping, so they're going to print more money to handle all these situations or make new currencies to handle all these situations, and therefore, poof, it's going to be good. It's going to work perfect, and life is going to keep on going. But actually, he said, what they're doing is destroying the economy. They're destroying independence and freedom, and they're making you fall right in line to what they're wanting. Proven 2 stories right here. Bank of America warns that the unemployment rate for recent grads rising faster than all times before when it comes to the workforce. Now, so it means this. These kids went into universities, spent way too much money, borrowed the money with loans that they could not afford, usually at a higher interest rate because the interest rates have been higher. Now you cannot bankrupt on that loan. I mean, basically there's no loan forgiveness. You have to pay that loan back no matter what. Then they come out of school with a degree that is absolutely worthless, that they have got way too much money tied into. And guess what? They can't find jobs. I think we have to pay attention to this story the most because, see, this is what happens when you have government-backed loans for colleges. Colleges keep on going up, government backs every loan, and then guess what? You have kids who are literally dependency of the government and completely in jail when it comes to their finances for the rest of their life. I know a gentleman that got out of school for engineer degree. Engineer degree, makes $130,000, $140,000 a year, I think this guy was, and that's a great income. He came out of school with $100,000 worth of some kind of loans of debt dealing with colleges, schools. So he had like $45,000 or $50,000 on one note, which was his school. The rest was just random while he was in school. Some of the other debt. Stupid, I know. But he said, it will take me 10 to 15 years to pay this off. He said, I couldn't pay it off any faster because of the interest rates. He said, if I tried to, it would make me where I would not be able to live because it would take everything that I have. He said, I have to cut my rent, I have to cut my living expenses because just to keep this job that I was hoping to get, and now to pay for the college that I went to, I will be basically a slave to the lender for a long time. I knew a doctor that got out of school. I graduated with him, and he was 35 before he finished up, which was just about 2 years ago. He has about $500,000 worth of debt. Well, before he contracted with hospitals, and hospitals would help pay for these debts. So he said, what I did is I left one lender, basically the government and schools, where I was trapped, to now where I'm working for this company that's got me in a contract because I'm trapped because I have so much student loan debt. Now all of a sudden with what Elon just said about jobs and how jobs are getting lost basically because of AI. We're seeing kids come out of school with more debt, more insecurity, not really knowing what to do, not really having a good education because they've been indoctrinated, and not having jobs. And now, what is the next step? Bank of America warned that without this, it's not just about the unemployment. We have kids that are bound down to debt. That's one thing that we did not want for our children. And we homeschool, but we are also agents in school online, so we're paying for it at the most economic way so he can stay home. We're also building him a little tiny home so he can start off better than what most kids do. Not because look at us, we're doing it great. It's not what it's about. We told him it would be better for you to stay here and us build your house over the next 2 years to make sure that we're doing it correctly so you don't put yourself in the same money bind and the same problems as most of your generation. It's scary. Now, what did that guy say about how Congress and the government is going to try to fix all your problems, and then all of a sudden this new monetary system is going to come, it's going to help you, and it's going to be better? Now, he said this 50 years ago. Let's listen to what Bill Gates is doing quietly with the World Economic Forum over in India and Dubai. And why this is important, I mean, we talk about how a lot of times the World Economic Forum was the Great Reset and how we think that's crazy. Do you remember the Great Reset, the guy that was interviewed, he said the only way we're going to get people off meat is Americans love meat. He says the only way we're going to get people off meat is that we have some kind of way to build an allergy towards the meat. So while we're talking about this financial problem and how we think that the World Economic Forum now is coming up with a quote-unquote solution with the government, this proves that they can do just about whatever they want to. Because guess what? There's now a tick that is giving a lifetime food meat allergy, beef food allergy, that has been found in West Virginia. They said it is spreading across the states and will cause for more problems as it gets closer to biting humans. Now the thing is, it's biting the meat. So are you eating tainted meat? Is the tick getting on you? We don't know, but guess what? What it's doing? It's making it where we have a food allergy towards meat. Isn't it weird how that's what they wanted, and now it's happening right before our very eyes? Well, this is what they want, a new monetary system. So let's go back to the story and what this guy just said. Remember, 50 years later, he's saying they're going to corrupt the dollar and the freedom of it because ultimately they have a purpose. Here we go. Facial fingerprint and iris scans. This is from Zero Hedge. It says, the WEF and Bill Gates' vision for biometric digital wallets are quietly gaining momentum. Underneath the shadows, behind the curtains, they're planning this. The push for a tightly controlled payment and identity system took a quiet but alarming step forward with little notice between the credit card giants Visa and the obscure tech firm called Tech5. This is a 7-year agreement that aims to fast-track digital identity and payment systems that deceptively tame public digital infrastructure and will allow for biometrics along with your payment system will be all handled with your eye, your finger, and fully digital. Now, remember what the guy said from 1974. He said what they're going to do is they're going to try to first regulate you, tax you, and then control you. Well, they're doing all that. Calls for inflation, then they think that they can start a new money or more printing to fix all the problems, but ultimately it's just putting you in a slave state under the leadership. No freedom. Now all of a sudden this is happening, and we don't believe it's happening quick. I showed you a video a few days ago about in Dubai where the guy scanned his eye and it paid for everything at the store. He thought it was the coolest thing in the world. The bad thing is this is coming to a city near you. The troubling partnership signed last week in Dubai merges Visa's massive financial network with Tech5's invasive biometric tech, which includes facial, fingerprints, and iris scans. So if Visa is buying into this, there's only one other big player, MasterCard. Now, you know, there's all these other little cards, but really everything is based on Visa and MasterCard. Biometrics. What if all of a sudden they said, well, you have to have this to have your biometrics? Did you know that if you go and open a crypto wallet right now, people say, oh, crypto's better, Bitcoin's better. Most of the time, if you open a crypto wallet or Bitcoin wallet online, they get your biometrics right up front. They get you to scan your wallet. They get you to scan your driver's license. They get you to do a facial recognition. They get you to do an eye scan. It's happening on both sides. So it falls back to cash and gold. Well, if we're losing the fact of having cash and gold, then what we're actually doing is buying right into the system of the tick with the meat and the food allergy. While we're worried about one thing, the food allergies are happening to the meat. While we're worried about other things and worried about all this stuff going on around the world, they're quietly instilling this system that they're wanting to use your eye, your fingerprint, and your digital, everything about you, your biometrics, including your money. Without them giving you the rights to have the money and the usages to have the money, then no harm, no foul. They get to do what they want to do, and you have no bearing over it. Because it's not your money, it's their money. They're just loaning it to you. It's kind of like property tax. Think about it. Do you ever really own your land? Because ultimately, we have to pay rent every year to the government. For what? It makes me mad every time I think about it. Well, do you realize our money is getting the same way? From the loans of college kids to the fact that now our money may not be our money anymore. It may be the government's money to give to you on loan. And if you don't do anything crazy, you can use it. But hey, you get crazy and start talking all that conservative talk and Christian talk, we're going to hold it up. You don't believe that's happening? That's absolutely happening in a lot of the Muslim countries right now, and also in China. Listen to this. This is how it's going to work. They're going to work with the liberals and work with the Muslims and work with the other side to make this happen for freedom. Did you hear the story in Dearborn just last week where the guy was a Christian and he was trying to promote Christianity in Dearborn, and the mayor of Dearborn told him, "We do not accept that here in Dearborn." He basically kicked him out of the town. So you don't believe this kind of stuff is happening. Houston, right now they're having marches on the street this whole week for Muslims to take over Houston. So guess what? If all of a sudden this technology comes to liberal cities and liberal governments, and all of a sudden the Muslims embrace it because it allows them to do control and have, a say-so, more of a say-so of who comes into their towns and who doesn't, don't you think this is not playing out well for Americans? It's not playing out well. Think about the tick. Think about the John Birch Society that he just mentioned this was happening. This should be warning signs for America to say, don't think that they won't do something and hurt you and harm you, because they're doing it right before your very eyes, i.e. the tick. But more than that, the biometrics and the digital ID is coming faster than you can imagine. Last thing I want to bring up is Elon. Elon made a point on an interview, basically talking about his driving cars. Or his automated cars. It says most people don't understand what's about to happen. Listen to this. Almost the entire fleet, which has 10 million vehicles next year, is capable of full autonomy. So even without the cybercab, we still actually have a gigantic fleet of capable cars of being fully autonomous, not needing humans to drive them. And the thing about the autonomous car is that it can be used for so much more. The car is not just autonomous, it's the whole system. In fact, the fleet is already built. The software has enabled the capability. It says overnight you will have increase of usefulness of 10 million cars that suddenly become like 50 million cars and maybe even 80 million cars overnight. He said what's profound is that humans will no longer need to drive. They will be able to do their work while their car drives them. Now, sounds cool. I think Elon's coming up with a lot of cool things. Do I think autonomous cars could help us not have wrecks and all that? Yeah, that could be cool. That could be great. No wrecks, no tragedy. It's wonderful. The bigger play here is that we're allowing for full autonomy, full robotics to basically rule our life. That scares me. Not because I'm worried about an autonomous car, but the more that we allow for this normality to be just inklinged along, the more we are becoming more convenient to full control by AI, by our government, and by the big players that be. This is not what we need. Autonomous cars, great. The bad thing is people and their evilness, like Bill Gates, will not stop at just trying to help humanity. They will not stop at trying to give to humanity. They will only stop when they have full control over humanity. Pay attention to this, guys. Thank you so very much for watching. Again, we thank you for your support. We love you guys. Have a good day. God bless.